In this episode of The Digital Keep, we're taking a ride through a medieval kingdom to explain modern cybersecurity. From forests filled with unseen threats to farmland on the edge of danger, through guarded walls and bustling markets, all the way to the castle's stone heart, where the keep protects the crown jewels. Along the way, we'll explore how defense in depth works, why layers matter, how endpoints and networks protect each other, and how deception and segmentation can stop an intruder long before they reach what matters. Stay with me. The journey into the Digital Keep starts now. This is the Digital Keep. Welcome to the Digital Keep. I'm Guy Tietz. This is a show about people, cybersecurity, and networks. A show for people trying to build legacy. Before we dive in, a quick note. This episode isn't meant to be a deep technical dive. It's designed to make the complex and often intimidating world of cybersecurity more accessible to everyone. If you're a cybersecurity professional, you already know that each of these concepts has layers of nuance and depth. Think of what follows as an analogy, a story, that makes these ideas easier to grasp while still reflecting the principles we work with every day. Before we talk about layered defenses, let's step outside the walls for a moment. Think back to those history lessons from school, or maybe those movies you've seen with knights, nobles, lords, and ladies. Maybe you've watched Game of Thrones. Maybe you've watched some version of Robin Hood, or a version of the tale of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Now, picture this. You're riding a horse along a dirt road, leaving the deep forest behind. You pass through open fields where crops are growing, the wind shifting the stalks like waves. Ahead, a few hundred yards away, rise the first defenses of a town. A wooden wall, maybe 10 feet tall, with roads converging on open gates. As you ride through the gate, a couple of guards glance your way. Inside, the town is alive. The clink of a blacksmith's hammer, the hum and scent of an open market selling food and wares. Townfolk moving around. Children darting between stalls. They all notice you, the newcomer, but they feel safe enough. After all, the guards didn't stop you, and help is close at hand. Another 100 yards ahead stand the castle walls, built of stone, standing strong. There's only one known way inside, a drawbridge across a broad moat. What's beyond those walls? You can't know, unless you're expected, or you can explain convincingly why you belong. Now, let's go back to the forest. Out here in the wild, beyond the safety of the town, is the open internet. Untrusted, untamed. A place full of unseen threats and shadowy movement. No law or guard controls the forest. You survive it with vigilance, and by never going unprotected, either traveling in a group or carrying your own forms of protection. Between the forest and the town walls lies something vital, the farmland. Open fields stretch out from the town's walls, dotted with farmers tending crops, herders watching livestock, the homes they and their families live in, and carts moving harvest toward the gate. These fields feed the kingdom. They are essential, yet exposed. A wolf slipping in from the tree line doesn't care about castle walls. A raiding party crossing the fields doesn't need to breach a gate to spill blood or steal grain. The farmers work under the open sky, with only distant shouts and watchtowers for warning. Yes, the guards on the walls are watching, ready to help, but their eyes are drawn inward, toward the gates, toward the streets, toward the castle they're sworn to defend. Out here beyond those walls, help is slower to arrive. Threats have room to move. And the lifeblood of the kingdom, the food, the trade routes, the supply chains, are always just a step away from danger. In our world, those farmlands are the connections and service providers feeding data into your network. ISPs, that's internet service providers, edge links, open infrastructure. There's some order here, but little defense. If attackers reach this far, they've already started shaping the battlefield. Just beyond the open fields, you finally reach the first true defenses for the town, for the castle within. Tall wooden palisades rise ahead, weathered but strong. The roads from every direction narrow here. Each funnels strangers through guarded openings, watched by alert sentries. These defenses don't stop everything, but they stop the curious. They slow the determined, and they force attackers to reveal themselves at selected choke points. Visitors from distant villages and traveling merchants can come and go through these gates. They wander the market square, trade goods, hear the blacksmith's hammer, and smell fresh bread from street vendors. But they never see the inner workings that make the town tick. The guarded chambers, the ledgers, the plans, the places only trusted insiders are allowed to go. In cybersecurity, these are your edge firewalls, your campus and company edge defenses, working with VPNs and access control lists. They are the outer wooden walls of your network, built to block casual intruders, delay more dangerous threats, and give defenders precious time to respond. But like those wooden walls of old, they are not impenetrable. A determined attacker can still find a way through, but they will have to work for it. And every moment they spend trying is a moment your defenders can use to prepare. This mesh of shops, craftsmen, messengers, and everyday workers all depend on one another. But they're not just doing business, they're quietly watching too. The market doesn't just benefit from the walls and guards, it actively helps keep the town safe. Shopkeepers watch not only their own counters, but also the alleyways beside them. A cobbler notices someone lingering too long by a merchant's cart. A smith hears a clink in the shadows that doesn't sound right. None of them have the authority to confront a threat beyond their own doorstep, but they can call for the watch. They can send a runner to the constable, raise a shout, or ring a bell. Your LAN, local area network, works in much the same way. Every endpoint, every computer, tablet, or IoT device, like printers, copiers, and networked projectors, is its own little shop, focused on its tasks, but also keeping an eye on its surroundings. Antivirus, anti-malware, endpoint protection and detection are those instincts of the shopkeepers. They don't control the whole network, but they can stop a known threat in their own corner, and they can signal when something bigger or dangerous is moving through the streets. The network, in turn, watches over them. It provides routing to keep traffic flowing, segmentation to keep actions, both good and bad, secluded but not isolated unless necessary, and monitoring, always keeping watch over everything. It's a partnership. The endpoints don't have the reach or authority to protect beyond their stalls, but they can alert those who do. The network doesn't have eyes everywhere at street level, but it relies on those shopkeepers to speak up. This is what makes a LAN resilient. A living system of mutual defense. Every device contributes to the bigger picture, and the bigger picture protects each device in return. In a well-run market and a well-secured LAN, you don't just wait for the guards to act. You empower every participant to watch, to report, to defend. It's not just walls that keep the kingdom safe. It's the people inside who care enough to protect one another. Before we make our way to the drawbridge and the castle gate, let's pause for a moment and recap how these layers of security line up. From medieval physical security to modern cybersecurity. The forest. The open, unfiltered, almost lawless internet. Untrusted, wild. A place where anything could be hiding. The farms. A buffer between that lawlessness and the town. The kingdom depends on them, so guards will respond. But help might take some time to arrive. Think of this like your personal cell phone. It might have company email, calendar, or chat apps. Think Slack. The company can't fully control it, but they add some safeguards, maybe forcing biometrics or at least a 6-digit PIN to unlock those applications. The first wooden walls, the edge defenses. These are your edge firewalls, VPNs and access control lists, stopping casual intruders, slowing determined ones, and forcing everything through guarded choke points. The market inside, the LAN itself. A living system where endpoints and network defenses protect each other. Computers, tablets, and IoT devices, all endpoints, everything from laptops to smart devices, keep watch with antivirus, anti-malware, and endpoint detection and protection. And when they raise the alarm, the network responds with routing, segmentation, firewall rules, and monitoring. In the same way, the flour seller or salted meats vendor might notice something suspicious in the crowd while the blacksmith stays deeply focused on forging the town's best horseshoes or finest armor. Each layer adds another chance to stop an attack. Another place to notice that something is wrong. Another line of defense before anything ever reaches the heart of the kingdom. Now, our travels take us through the market and the bustling business district, deeper toward the anchor of the town. The chatter of the market fades behind as the road narrows. Ahead looms the castle itself. Its stone walls rising high, banners shifting in the wind. We approach the drawbridge, heavy timbers creaking over a broad moat. On either side, guards stand ready, their armor polished to a mirror shine, weapons at their sides. Eyes scanning each person approaching. These are no casual sentries. Their presence alone warns that we're moving into a place where access is earned, not assumed. High above, along the castle's ramparts, more figures watch. Some are armed and vigilant. Others, dressed in fine cloaks and colorful dresses, jewels sparkling, stroll the walls with practiced ease, with no sense that danger exists in the world beyond the walls they walk above. In your network, this is the transition from the public spaces to the restricted zones. These guards are your authentication systems, your multi-factor checks, your gatekeepers. They verify credentials, challenge anything, and ensure that only those with the rights to enter can cross. When we hear terms like segmentation and least privilege, this is what's happening. The town and your network is separated into segments. The guards ensure that only approved people or purposes have the privilege to enter. And they even determine where those privileges allow access within each segment. It's not enough to simply walk up with confidence. You must be expected or provide proof in the form of credentials, keys, and tokens that you belong. And if you can't, the bridge becomes a barrier, not a path. The guards, having verified you're not only expected but have an approved purpose, grant you entry to the castle. The drawbridge stretches out behind you as you step onto the stone. The air feels different here, cooler, quieter, purposeful. The open chaos of the market is gone, replaced by wide courtyards and guarded corridors. Here, every movement is deliberate. Armored guards patrol in pairs, their routes overlapping, their eyes never idle. Scribes and stewards hurry between chambers, each carrying ledgers and sealed scrolls. Messengers pause at checkpoints presenting tokens before being waved through. You notice how even inside these walls, access is divided? Some doors are open leading to storage rooms and barracks. Others are barred with iron, requiring a key, a seal, or a personal word from the captain. This is not just a castle, it's a network of trust and limitation. In cybersecurity, this is the core of your network, the sensitive systems and data that power the entire organization. The financial servers, the intellectual property or IP repositories, the administrative consoles that control everything else. They are heavily segmented and guarded by additional layers of access control. Role-based permissions dictate who can even see certain resources. Encryption shields data at rest. Multi-factor authentication stands at every critical doorway. Here, least privilege isn't just a guideline, it's the law. Think of a steward allowed to carry messages between council chambers but never permitted into the treasury, or a cook who can enter the kitchens but not the armory. Every role is defined, every access path deliberate. If an attacker reaches this far, the kingdom is bleeding. But if these layers hold, if privileges are enforced, if monitoring is active, the damage can be contained before it spreads to the heart of everything you protect. But there is still another area with even more protection: the crown jewels, the coin vaults. The critical systems that keep everything moving, but provide almost no protective resources of their own. To reach these, one needs separate, elevated credentials managed by specially appointed officials, and any visitor would need to be escorted. This is the keep, deep within the castle. The digital keep, deep within the network. Deeper still we go, past the courtyards and stone corridors, until the walls themselves begin to thicken. Torchlight flickers against iron-bound doors and narrow passageways. Every step feels heavier. Every turn more closely watched. Here stands the keep, the fortress within the fortress. Massive gates, reinforced with steel hinges, wrapped in iron. Guards in heavier armor stand shoulder to shoulder, each one trained to challenge even the slightest irregularity. A visitor here is never alone. An escort walks with them, their very presence both permission and oversight. Inside these walls lie the crown jewels and coin vaults, gold and silver, sealed food stores to endure a siege, maps, plans, and secret agreements that shape the future of the entire kingdom. These are not places in the open. They are locked away in the deepest heart of the stronghold. In your network, this is the digital keep. It is where industrial control systems, often called SCADA systems, quietly run machinery that keeps everything running. That acronym stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. It's the technology used in factories, power plants, critical infrastructure, and even building management systems like large air conditioning and heating systems. All of them working to monitor and control physical equipment, valves, pumps, conveyors, breakers. Anything that turns data into action in the real world. These systems are often isolated, often fragile, yet absolutely essential. It is where unpublished, in-progress designs and plans live. The intellectual property not yet ready for the world, but critical to the future, to survival, to growth. Access here is never casual. It requires those separate, elevated credentials I mentioned before, often managed by a handful of trusted administrators. Every action is logged, every visitor is tracked, and in many cases, physically escorted in the real world. Some chambers are completely sealed off, with no direct passage from the rest of the castle. To reach them, you must leave your weapons behind, pass through an inner two-door system where one must close before the next can be opened, and enter by a route few even know exists. A medieval form of air gapping, but also a system that is still used today called a man-trap. This keeps critical stores apart from daily traffic. And some vaults require not just a single key, but 2 or 3 officials present at once, each carrying a part of the seal, each turning their key together to open the final lock. A living example of multi-party approvals before the most sensitive areas can be touched. If attackers reach this far, they stand in the heart of everything that matters. This is why the Keep exists. A final bastion, a place to protect the irreplaceable, deep within the castle, deep within your network. Back in episode 1, I teased a phrase, honeypots and dungeons. Today, we've arrived at that part of the kingdom and of the network. Not every part of a castle is built simply to store or defend. Some areas are built to deceive, to confuse, to buy time. Down narrow stairways past torchlit arches lie the dungeons, dark cells carved into stone, some filled with old chains and rusted locks, some deliberately left open, as if inviting the foolish or desperate to step inside. To an intruder, these spaces might look like a hidden vault or a forgotten storehouse, but in truth, they're a trap. The guards know these places well. They watch the shadows, listen for the scrape of a boot, and when a would-be thief stumbles in, the cell door slams shut and the intruder is caught. In cybersecurity, these are your honeypots and deception systems. Decoy servers, fake credentials, canary files scattered strategically across the network. To an attacker, they look like valuable targets, ripe with data, vulnerable and exposed. But the moment they're touched, alarms ring silently in the background. Security teams learn who is attacking, how they move, and what they're after, all without risking the real crown jewels. It's deception by design, a way to draw attackers into spaces where their actions can be watched, studied, and stopped before they ever reach anything of true value. Every castle worth its salt had dungeons. Every modern network worth protecting has deception layered within. Because sometimes the best defense is to let the intruder believe they've succeeded just long enough to spring the trap. We've traveled deep into the kingdom, and now, as we prepare to leave, let's walk back through the layers, from the heart of the castle all the way to the wild forest beyond. The Keep. The fortress within the fortress. This is where the crown jewels, coin vaults, food stores, and secret plans are kept. The industrial controls, SCADA systems, and critical intellectual property that keep everything running and growing. Access here requires separate credentials, escorts, and even multi-party approvals. Some paths are sealed by two-door systems or air gaps, keeping this heart secure. The castle walls, the core of the network. A network of trust and limitation, role-based access, multi-factor authentication, encryption. These guard the sensitive systems that power the organization, limiting what each role can touch and containing damage before it spreads. The drawbridge and the gate. The gatekeepers, authentication systems and segmentation controlling who can enter, verifying not only that you're expected, but that your purpose is approved, deciding where those privileges allow you to go. The market, the LAN itself, a living system of endpoints and network defenses protecting each other. Computers, tablets, and IoT devices keep watch with antivirus, anti-malware, and detection, while the network routes, segments, and monitors in return. Just like vendors and storekeepers quietly watching over their own stalls and their neighbors. The first wooden walls, the edge defenses, edge firewalls, VPNs, access lists that funnel all traffic through selected choke points, stopping the curious, slowing the determined. Visitors may enter the market, but never see the inner workings that make the town tick. The farms, the buffer, vital but exposed, like personal devices with company apps. Guarded from a distance, protected by basic controls, but help may take time to arrive. The forest, the open, wild, unfiltered internet, untrusted. A place full of unseen threats and shadowy movement, where vigilance is survival and walking unprotected is a risk. Every layer matters. Every step between the wild forest and the guarded keep buys time, catches threats, and protects what matters most. Because in a world of marauders and hackers, defense in depth is how kingdoms and networks endure. The idea of layered defenses from the forest to the keep is more than just a metaphor. It's a mindset. And it's one of the reasons I named this podcast The Digital Keep. But starting next week, we begin something different. The first connected series of episodes for the show. It opens with a story, one I've carried with me since I was a kid. 6 unsung heroes, including my grandfather, were part of the ground team that solved the life-or-death crisis behind Apollo 13. The movie told one version, but the truth lived inside the simulators and in the hands of the people who built and maintained them. From there, we'll jump to my own childhood, to the floor of my bedroom, with a broken boombox, a pair of needle-nose pliers, and a problem I refused to leave unsolved. And then we'll explore what it means to design complex systems, what it takes to adapt them in the real world, where the blueprint always meets resistance. It's a series about engineering, research and development, and the human backbone of innovation. If this sparks your imagination, tune in next week as we launch the series. And maybe share it with someone who still believes our greatest days are ahead, or just wants to hear a story where the technicians were every bit as critical as the engineers. All that kicks off next week inside The Digital Keep. Thanks for listening to The Digital Keep. Drop a comment below. Hit like and subscribe. It helps people find the show. Until next time, watch the walls, mind the gate, and build your legacy.